Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I kind of just wanted to film something a little bit different for my channel, but I've been watching a lot of these videos recently and I have thoroughly been enjoying them, so I wanted to do one for myself. I thought I would just take you guys along with me as I read for the week. Basically, August is a really busy month for me. Like, I've got a lot of social things on. I'm doing a couple of courses with church, which is like 2 nights a week, and I also work 5 days a week. I've actually had the day off today, so today is Saturday. It's like 4:30 and it's a really cozy day. Like, the weather is terrible, so it's like perfect reading weather. I have stuff that I need to do, but I also just feel so exhausted and I just want to sit and read. So I am currently reading The Final Gambit, which is the last book in the Inheritance games. This is a trilogy, so this is the 3rd and final book. They're written by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I'm like halfway through. I'm on page 169 out of 368. There is a little short story at the back as well, and I want to see if I can finish this over the weekend. I obviously don't want to say too much about what this specific book is about because I don't want to spoil the series if you haven't read it. We're following Avery, who basically inherits billions of dollars from this old rich guy who she's never met, and she kind of grew up in a household that was kind of struggling for money, and this old rich guy had a family who were expecting to receive this inheritance, and in order to receive this inheritance she has to live in their massive mansion with all of this guy's family members for a year. And so it's just basically one big puzzle of trying to figure out why she's inherited all this money. It very much gives like Nancy Drew vibes because the house has like all these secret passageways. There's all these riddles and stuff that they're trying to solve, and it's been really enjoyable so far. The chapters are really short. It's so easy to fly through. I've probably got like an hour and a half until Phil gets home, so I thought I might just sit on the couch and binge this book. I love their little thing with the word Tahiti. If you know, you know. I literally think it's like hailing or something outside. Hey guys, so it is actually a couple days later now. You guys can probably hear the rain in the background. It has been on and off like the past couple of days. Today is Monday. Yesterday I didn't actually read anything at all. Phil and I had church in the morning, and then we came home and finished our movie that we were watching from our movie night on Saturday night, and then we had a birthday party to go to in the evening as well for one of our friends, Joe. So we were pretty much out the whole night, and then we got home and we were exhausted, so I just pretty much went straight to bed, didn't do any reading. Since I talked to you last, I think on Saturday, I was on page 170 of The Final Gambit. Now I'm on page 229, so I didn't really read too much, but I'm hoping that I can get it finished today and finish the little short story that is in the back of this. I don't really have any plans as of today. All of my housework is kind of done. I get to a point in books where I'm like, okay, I'm really sick of reading this now. Not that I'm sick of reading this, because it just keeps you on your toes all the time. Okay, I've had to change up the angle because my camera, like this camera, is actually driving me insane because it's like really crap focusing. Like, it'll focus on my face for like 10 seconds and then it'll focus on something else. It's driving me nuts. Yeah, I kind of get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying the story, but now I kind of want to move on to something else. I feel like I'm kind of at that point now with this. Like, it's good and it's keeping me on my toes, but I'm like, I just want to finish the trilogy. Hello guys, so it is a little bit later, it is 2 o'clock and I have just hit page 286, chapter 70, which is really good because I have like the tiniest little bit left. You guys can see there, so I'm probably on track to finishing it today, which is good. I had to crack out the blanket and I had cracked out the Sour Patch Kids snacks, but yeah, I'm gonna stop and actually have some lunch now, and then I literally think I'm just gonna read for the rest of the day. Lunch is leftover pizza and a glass of L&P. I always find it really difficult to like read and eat like when I'm trying to have food, because I'm so scared that I'm like gonna drop something down it, and I find it really hard to like keep my book open while I'm eating if it's like something that I've got to cut up like pizza. So I think I'm just gonna actually watch some YouTube while I am eating my lunch, and then once my lunch is consumed then I'm gonna go back to reading. I don't know if anyone else is like that or if it's just me. The time is about 5:30 as of right now, and I have just finished the final gambit and the little short story in the back as well, which is One Hawthorn Night. The final gambit was really good. It was a really nice tie-up of the trilogy. Everything ended so well, and the decision that Avery made at the end, I'm really happy that she made. I was kind of wondering if she was going to make it or not, and I'm really happy that she did, and I think it was a really good call. I think she ended up with the right brother. It was the brother I was kind of like rooting for the whole time, where I was like, I feel like these two people are like better connected than the other brother. I'm really happy with that decision that she made, and it was just really good. Like all the riddles were really good. I think in terms of like plot, this one was a lot more interesting than the second book, but I think overall the first book was still my favorite, and then I think this one, just in terms of like the riddles and the plot, was really good, and then the second book was like not my least favorite because I still really enjoyed it and I still read it really quickly, but in terms of like plot and things, I feel like it was very much setting up this last book here. But I'm so happy that I have finished with the trilogy. I know there is another book that Jennifer Lynn Barnes is currently writing that is to do with the brothers, I believe, so I'm excited for when that comes out. The short story in the back was a good laugh. It was literally like not even that long. It was 13 and like a little bit pages, so not very long, but it was still nice to read. Just very short, quick. It does tie into this book as well, but with this series you definitely need to read them in order. So happy that I finished it. This book and the little short story at the back marks the 29th and 30th book that I have read this year, so that is really good. So I'm well on track for hitting my goal of reading 50 books this year. But now it is time to put this back on the shelf and to pick a new one. Like, look how pretty the spines look. They just look so nice. And also, just in case you haven't seen my bookshelf set up in my house, this is number one. So this here is all classics. This is a mix of like mine and my husband's books as well, because we both have them on the same shelf. This here is all non-fiction. This, by the way, is in our guest bedroom, like our spare bedroom. This third shelf here is all memoirs and like biographies, and then we have cookbooks down here. You can hear the heater in the background. I apologize, it's just quite cold. We also have these two shelves here in our living room. So this shelf, and like these 4 books here are all romance books, so all of them are mine. Then we have from Zoo all the way across. The Loop book normally lives in here, but I am lending that out to my friend slash manager at work, so she's reading that. Up until this June book here, that is all of our science fiction slash dystopian. And then from the yearbook committee onwards and under is all of our like general fiction. And then I have all my like mysteries on this shelf, and then on this shelf and this shelf are all of our horrors, which my husband reads, not me. And then on the other side of our living room, we also have this bookshelf here, which is massive. 4 fantasy books up here because I can't fit them anywhere else on my shelf, but I kind of like the look of like the black and the gold with the pink. But this shelf, this shelf, this shelf, and then up until the Left-Handed Booksellers of London, this is all of our fantasy. So we have a lot of fantasy. Then I have one like paranormal fiction book. This is a trilogy as well, but I cannot find the other 2 books. Like none of the bookstores here in New Zealand stock it. And then up until 13 Reasons Why is all of the like psychological thriller. I've got the Eden series here, which is like contemporary romance and it's thriller, but I don't have room in romance, so I've put it in thriller. And then like the rest of all of these books under here are all thrillers. I also have Layla by Colleen Hoover, which lives up there, but again I am borrowing that out to a friend. And then on this little shelf here we have all of our Christian books. Because The Final Gambit is a book that I have bought recently, I want to try and read a book that I have bought that's like really old, that I've owned for like maybe 3 to 4 years. And I'm thinking, because it's still winter here in New Zealand, I kind of want to read Out of the Ice by Anne Turner, because I feel like this just gives very like wintry vibes, and this is one that I like want to read before the end of winter. And then the other one that I want to read before the end of winter is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This is going to be like a series, but they're like interconnected standalones. The second book of this, I think it comes out later this year or early next year, so I do want to read that one as well. But this is a book I bought recently, so I need to read one that I've owned for a while before I get started on this one. So yeah, Out of the Ice it is by Anne Turner, and I just love this cover. I think it's really nice. So this one here I don't really know too much about. I haven't read anything from this author before. It was just one that I bought from the Lions book sale like a really long time ago. I've been trying to like reach for books on the fantasy and thriller shelf, because there's quite a few fantasy books that I like really want to buy, but I just don't have the room as of right now, so I'm trying to like get through some of those other ones. And because like the Inheritance Games series is a mystery, I feel like I'm kind of ready to go into a thriller, and then I might have to like read something else alongside it if it's quite intense, but we'll see how we go. A tense, eerie thriller set in the icy reaches of Antarctica, so hence why I'm like, this is like the perfect winter book. It says, when environmental scientist Laura Alvarado is sent to a remote Antarctic island to report on an abandoned whaling station, she begins to uncover more than she could ever imagine. Reminders of the bloody, violent past are everywhere, and Laura is disturbed by evidence of recent human interference. Rules have been broken and the protected wildlife is behaving strangely. On a diving expedition, Laura emerges into an ice cave where she is shocked to see an anguished figure crying for help. But in this freezing, lonely landscape, there are ghosts everywhere, and Laura wonders if her own eyes can be trusted. Has she been in the ice too long? Back at base, Laura's questions about the whaling station go unanswered, blocked by scientists unused to outsiders, and Laura just can't shake what happened in the cave. Piecing together a past and present of cruelty and vulnerability that can be traced around the world, from Norway to Nantucket, Europe and Antarctica, Laura will stop at nothing to unearth the truth. As she comes face to face with the dark side of human progress, she also discovers a legacy of love, hope and the meaning of family, if only Laura can find her way out of the ice. My biggest worry with this is that the entire plot is on the back of the book, and I hate when that happens, because one of the books I read recently, I'm not gonna say what one because I will do like a wrap up at the end of the year, but one of the books I read recently, the entire plot was on the back, and so that really sucked. Oh, it's got book club notes at the back. That's quite cool. It's actually not too long from the looks of it. It is 357. Shouldn't be too long. This is actually shorter than the book that I just read, because that was about 370 pages, so see how we go on this one. So I have just come back to bed in the same spot where I've pretty much been for most of the day. Before I get on to reading Out of the Ice, I also want to read one chapter of my Enjoying God book. So this book I normally read on like Sunday evenings. I'll do like a chapter of this, and then like I tend to read my Bible like throughout the week, and then because I have church on Sunday morning, I normally read this, like a chapter of this on Sunday night. We were out last night, so I couldn't get to that. So this one is Enjoying God by R.C. Sproul. This is basically just talking about the attributes of God and his character, and it's kind of just like understanding God a bit more, which as a Christian is really important for me. I always kind of read like multiple books at once, but it's all like different genres. So I'll have like one fiction book, one Christian non-fiction book, then I have another Christian non-fiction that Phil and I will be like tandem reading together, and then I also have a non-fiction on the go as well that is not Christian. So different books but different genres, but I've been really enjoying this so far. I don't have that much left to go, like I've got the tiniest little bit. I am up to chapter 10. I won't be finishing this in this video just because I do only read like 1 to 2 chapters a week, but this book is on my 23 books to read in 2023, so if you guys missed that video, I'll leave that video down below. So far it's really good, like I am really enjoying it, and I would highly recommend it if you are Christian and you just want to like develop your knowledge of God and his character a little bit more. Then it's really, really good. This one is also a pretty short book, like I'm on page 179 and there's 230 pages. Alrighty, so it is a little bit later on now, on Monday night. I read my chapter of Enjoying God and Phil has got home from work. He's just cuddling the cat. But it is time for Phil and I to read our Christian non-fiction book together. The one that we're reading at the moment is this one here. This is If I Were God, I'd Make Myself Clearer by John Dickson. It is I think it's the second book, which goes in the same series as If I Were God, I'd End All the Pain, which I have already read. It's super short, this book. It's like 70 pages or so, but we are like halfway through it. We want to try and finish it tonight because we have picked a slightly shorter book this time because we are both doing a course for church on Monday nights starting next week, so hopefully we can finish this tonight. We're up to chapter 3. Hello friends, it is a lot later now. It is 11:15 on Monday night and Phil and I just finished If I Were God, I'd Make Myself Clearer. This was so good. It's so short, but like there's literally so much in here. So like if you're Christian or you're not and you're wondering like why God, who created the universe, doesn't seem to make himself very clear, I would read this because it addresses a lot of like issues. It's pretty short in terms of chapters. I think this is probably one of the ones that like I'll end up coming back to as well. Hello friends, so it is actually a few days since I have updated you guys with this particular reading vlog. The last time I filmed was Monday, so since then it has been Tuesday and Wednesday and it's now Thursday and it's like just past 20 past 10, so it's quite late, but I wanted to give you guys a bit of a reading update. So I haven't filmed any clips, but on my lunch break on Tuesday I did start Out of the Ice by Anne Turner. I didn't read a lot. I literally probably only read like 20 pages on Tuesday. I didn't read on the bus home, and then Phil and I have a really big day on Tuesday because we finish work, have dinner, on the bus home, and then go straight out to Bible study, and we get home from Bible study at like 10:30, 11ish, so we get home quite late. And then Wednesday it's a very similar deal. So on Wednesday I read like literally like another 20 pages on my lunch break, a little bit more on the way home as well, and then we literally get home from work, do groceries, and then I normally come home and edit. So it's a pretty big day, so I don't really have like a lot of time to read. It is Thursday and I'm going to read a little bit more of this tonight before I go to sleep. I am currently on page 65. Also, yes, I do dog ear my books. Don't come for me. Anytime I have a bookmark in it, it just doesn't want to stay. So I'm in the middle of chapter 4. So far I am enjoying it, but I'm not loving it. I think this author is Australian as well, because the chick in this book is from Melbourne. Yep, she was born in Adelaide and lives in Victoria, so she is an Australian author, so that is really cool. It's kind of weird because I feel like so far everything that I've read has kind of been from the back of the book. The thing that I am really enjoying about this is the scenery and like learning about the wildlife, because obviously it's set in Antarctica, so it's cold. There's like a lot of really nice wildlife. I actually watched a video on YouTube, like it must have been like a month ago or something, of someone who actually went to Antarctica, and like watching all the scenery and stuff, it is stunning. So I've kind of been like envisioning that as I've been reading it, and it's been really cool. So I've really been enjoying that aspect of it, but we'll see how we go. It's still early days. I'm not going to do any spoilers in this video, but I have just got to the point where she is going to like explore kind of like another base on Antarctica. So there's like multiple bases that the scientists have been like going to like collect data, research, analyze, all that kind of stuff. And she has just been sent to one on her own because her partner has got sick. Partner being partner that she is in a team with in science. She interacts with some of the wildlife, and the wildlife is not doing what it naturally does in terms of like the penguins and the seals and all that kind of thing. Like they're kind of acting a bit weird. So that is kind of where we've got to with this. But yeah, I'm probably just gonna sit and binge this for the rest of the night. I'm hoping that I can at least get up to page 100. The chapters are quite long, and I've not read a book with long chapters in a while. Hello friends, so it is Friday night. I have again gotten cozy in my pajamas. Tonight I was out for quite a bit of the night. I was at a course for church, and now I'm just getting into bed. It's like 5 to 11, but I want to do a little bit of reading. Thought I'd give you guys a bit of an update with Out of the Ice. Ended yesterday's reading session last night on page 100. I have been reading on my lunch break, and then I also did a little bit of reading kind of like down by the waterfront while I was waiting for Phil to finish work. So I haven't really read too much in the scheme of things. I'm only on page 133 and I am on chapter 8. I'm like probably like a third of the way, almost halfway through it, and so far I feel like it is just a bit meh. I feel like it's one of those books where like the entire plot is written on the back. I also feel like the suspenseful scenes haven't really felt that suspenseful. I don't know if it's just because I like keep picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, put it down, that it's made it more difficult to get into the story. I am still enjoying like all the wildlife aspect of things, but we'll see how we're going. It's not a bad story, but it's not a wow story. So I might do a little bit more reading of this tonight. I thought I would start off my reading tonight with reading a couple more chapters of Love Stories by Trent Dalton. So this book here is on my 23 books to read in 2023. It is a non-fiction book from an Australian author as well. Basically, this guy sat on a busy street in Brisbane and was just asking people for their love stories, and so he's got like just a collection of love stories from people in here, and so far I have read 90 pages. I haven't read any more like in this reading vlog, but generally I'll read like a couple stories before I like go to sleep each night, and it's been really nice to like wind down with reading these stories here. So I haven't really read too much like in terms of the book, like this is how much I've read and this is how much I haven't. So I'm not going to finish this in this video because I've, like I said, been enjoying just kind of picking up, putting it down. It's quite surreal knowing that like these are real stories from real people. They're done by like love stories obviously, and they're only like a few pages each, so it's really easy just to like binge a few. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do a bit more reading this, and then I might do a bit more of this and try to, I don't know, try to get into it. I definitely think I want to read more books set in Antarctica. been doing a little bit of reading this morning of Out of the Ice. So I have just hit page 200. So I have this much left to go, which I really want to get it finished because I feel like I'm just not loving it as much as I had hoped. I've made myself a hot chocolate in my little It Is Well With My Soul mug. Hello guys, so it is the next day and I thought I would give you guys my final reading update. We managed to make a dent and finish some of these books here. So altogether I read 5 different books and finished 3 of them. The Final Gambit, so I was already partway through this book here, but I really enjoyed this. Managed to finish this and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good conclusion to the trilogy, and I love the way that Jennifer Lynn Barnes writes her books because they're just so fast paced. I think, yeah, like I said, this was my second favorite, I think, out of the trilogy. The next book that I read after this one here is the One Hawthorne Night short story, which is in the back of this. Again, super short, very quick and easy to read, only like 15 pages or so, and it took one of the scenes or like one of the things in the Final Gambit and kind of expanded on it a little bit, and that was really enjoyable to read, really fun. So I was able to start and finish the short story in this vlog. Kind of sad to be done with this world because I love all of these characters. I think they're all very well developed. My favorite brother I actually think is Xander, just because I love his humor, I love his personality, and I'm really happy with who Avery ended up with because there is a bit of a love triangle in this. Then I read 2 chapters of this book here. Now this one is Enjoying God by R.C. Sproul. Again, this is a great book if you're wanting to grow your relationship with God. I have 1 more chapter left in this book. Hello friends, so I'm just going to quickly add this little insert into this video because when I was doing my wrap up I totally forgot to mention this book. But in this reading vlog I also finished If I Were God I'd Make Myself Clearer by John Dixon. Yeah, Phil and I again had already started this book, but it was really nice to finally finish it. It again was very short, only 79 pages, so if I wasn't reading this with Phil I probably could binge this in like a few hours. But yeah, there's definitely a lot in this book, like it's actually quite content heavy, which is really good, and again very super short. So I definitely would recommend if you are a Christian or if you are like potentially like looking into the Christian faith and kind of wondering a little bit about God and who he is, and then I think this would be a really great one to read. Also finished this, I think it will be one that I come back to as well. Next up I read a couple chapters, or more than a couple actually, probably like maybe 3 or 4 chapters of Love Stories by Trent Dalton. This is a non-fiction. I am up to page 110, so I've read this much and have this much to go. I am loving this. Trent Dalton is an Australian author, but it's just written very well. But again, I just kind of pick this up, put this down, and read like a few chapters before I go to sleep. So this I had already started, same with this book here. So these are the only 2 books that I've not finished. And then last but not least, I managed to start and finish Out of the Ice by Anne Turner. So I stayed up last night and finished Out of the Ice. This one here is a psychological thriller that is set in Antarctica, and to be honest it just was not my favorite. It was still enjoyable enough for me to like keep reading, but I definitely enjoyed the setting, like being set in Antarctica, learning about all the wildlife and stuff, than I did over the plot. I thought the ending was quite good. I definitely will have some trigger warnings for this book, so definitely make sure you look those up before you go into it. It's not too big of a read, like it's about 300 and just under 360 pages, which is pretty good. I feel like since reading Verity, like all of the like suspenseful scenes in here just did not really seem that suspenseful, so I wasn't overly wowed by this book. The main character, yeah, she was alright, she was likable. The best friend kind of annoyed me at times because she was quite whiny. But yeah, there's definitely like a lot of characters, and I feel like the one thing I do feel like with this book is I feel like the entire back basically tells you the plot except for the ending. Like, you can pretty much read the back and get the entire story. Because the back is like quite a long one, I feel like they probably could have cut like half of it out just to leave a bit more interest, because I feel like I'd already known that this was going to happen and this was going to happen and this was going to happen because it was on the back of the book. So I have decided that I am actually going to charity this one. But this one here, yeah, it's not necessarily a bad book, but it just felt very meh for me, like just not my favorite. Someone else might like it. Like, if you are very new to like thrillers and you want to read a thriller that's not too intense, I would say this one is probably quite a good one to go into. Definitely showed me that I want to read more things set in Antarctica, because again, enjoyed hearing about all of the wildlife. So yeah guys, this is pretty much what I read in an average week. Really hope you guys enjoyed it, coming along with me for this little bit more of a chill kind of like reading vlog. If you guys did enjoy this one, let me know and I can definitely film more. If you guys have watched my bookshelf tour and you guys want to see like the books and stuff, like any specific book that you want to see me like read, let me know and I can film that as well. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Please make sure to turn on the notifications and check out my social media. It's always linked down below in the description box. I have a playlist called Reading, so if you want to watch any more book related videos, then I'll leave that video down below and in the eye for you guys as well. I shall see you guys in my next video. Bye.